There's something about the dead hours of the night that makes everything feel wrong. The streets are quieter, sure, but it's not peaceful. It's a kind of silence that creeps into your skin, like the world is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Something it doesn't want to see in the light of day. I used to be a night owl, worked late shifts, walked home alone under buzzing streetlights. I knew the rhythm of the city after dark, where the cops parked to nap, which corners to avoid, which bodegas stayed open until dawn. I thought I'd seen everything the night had to offer. I was wrong. This all started after a particularly rough week. My girlfriend had broken up with me. My boss cut my hours, and my landlord slid a rent increase notice under my door like it was a pizza menu. I was spiraling, eating cheap fast food, scrolling endlessly, barely sleeping. That night I couldn't take being in my apartment. The walls felt like they were closing in. So I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and just walked. No destination, just moving, letting the cold air slap me awake. The city was quieter than usual. Even the rats seemed to be keeping their heads down. That's when I smelled it. I was halfway down 9th Street when the scent hit me like a memory. Grilled onions, charred meat, toasted bread. It was so strong, so real, it stopped me in my tracks. And instantly, I was starving. I turned the corner, expecting to see a diner open late or some sketchy street vendor, but there was nothing. Just a cracked alley filled with dumpsters and graffiti. The scent was stronger now. It didn't make sense. It was like it was pulling me. So I followed it. That's when I saw it. A matte black food truck parked in the shadows, like it had just materialized. No headlights, no sound, just glowing red neon letters on the side. The Midnight Grill. Below it, in uneven hand-painted strokes, "Only the hungry will find me." I stood there for a while, just staring. I should have turned around. I should have gone home. But I didn't. Because in that moment, I wasn't thinking. I wasn't scared. I was hungry. Hungrier than I'd ever felt in my life. And that's how it begins. That's how it gets you. You don't know you've crossed a line until it's too late to go back. This story isn't about a sandwich. It's about what comes after. The truck didn't have a menu. No posted hours. No sign of life, except for the faint glow of the neon letters and the warm, amber light spilling from the tiny service window. It wasn't open. It wasn't closed. It was just waiting. I stepped closer, my sneakers crunching against broken glass and gravel. The air around the truck was warmer, like standing beside a campfire. The smell was stronger here too, thick and savory, clinging to the back of my throat. I could almost taste the grease, the spices, the tang of pickled something. My stomach growled loud enough to echo. There was someone inside. I couldn't see much. Just a silhouette moving slowly behind the clouded window. The figure was tall, wearing an apron and a backward cap. He didn't look up. He just worked, methodical, like he already knew I was there, like I was expected. Then, without a word, the metal window slid open. Steam billowed out, carrying the scent of grilled meat and toasted bread. A paper tray slid onto the ledge, foil wrapped. No label, no receipt, just a sandwich. The cook didn't say a thing, didn't gesture, didn't acknowledge me at all. I didn't ask questions. I reached for it, hands trembling slightly. It was warm, fresh, real. I sat on a nearby cinder block, the kind people stack behind alley fences to keep dumpsters from rolling. Carefully, I peeled the foil back. A Cuban sandwich, pressed flat, cheese oozing from the sides, yellow mustard soaked into the bread, with those tiny pickles my dad used to buy from the Latin market on 17th Street. The same kind of ham he liked, sweet, smoky, and thinly sliced. I hadn't eaten a Cuban like this in years, not since he died. And it wasn't just similar, it was exact. The same cut diagonally across the middle, the same faint scorch mark on the top crust, shaped like a half moon. I stared at it for a long time. Then I took a bite. My eyes burned, not from the mustard, but from the memory. Because in that moment, I wasn't sitting in a freezing alley next to a strange truck. I was 10 years old again, sitting on a rickety porch swing, my dad handing me half a sandwich wrapped in a napkin, telling me I could only have a soda after I finished the whole thing. I could hear the cicadas, feel the summer sweat on the back of my neck, taste the laughter in the back of my throat. One bite, that's all it took. I looked up, dazed, as if waking from a dream, but the truck's window was already shut. The red neon flickered softly. There was no one behind the glass anymore, just my reflection, ghosted in the steam-smeared metal. I called out, "Hey! What's in this?" No answer. I circled the truck. No license plate, no vents, no branding. Just matte black metal. The tires were worn but clean, too clean for something that supposedly drove city streets. I stood there another minute or two, sandwich in hand, unsure whether to feel comforted or creeped out. Eventually, I walked home. I didn't even check my phone, didn't text anyone, didn't post about it. It felt wrong to share it, like something sacred. I polished off the sandwich before I even reached my building. It was the best thing I'd eaten in years. I slept a full 8 hours that night. No tossing, no dreams, just peace. For the first time in weeks, I woke up feeling good. That should have been the end of it. Just a weird story, a delicious fluke. But the thing is, I was still thinking about it the next day. Not just the food, but the feeling, the warmth, the familiarity, the way it touched something deep, something buried. I started craving it. Not food, that. And I didn't know it yet, but that craving, that's where the nightmare begins. I didn't go back the next night, not because I didn't want to, because I had to know, was it real? Did I dream it? Or worse, did I hallucinate it in some kind of grief-starved breakdown? But I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not just the truck or the sandwich, but how it made me feel, how it knew. That wasn't just a meal. That was a memory served hot and wrapped in foil, and it was personal. I looked for the truck the next night anyway. Same alley. Nothing. I thought maybe I had the location wrong, so I checked the surrounding blocks. I wandered until almost 3 a.m. Still, nothing. The night after, I waited at the same spot, leaning against the graffiti-covered wall, pretending not to shiver in the cold. But the alley stayed dark, empty, silent, like it had been scrubbed clean. And then came the dreams. They weren't nightmares, not at first. Just vivid memories. My dad's voice, the sound of the porch swing creaking, the smell of pickles and mustard and meat. They were too detailed, like I was being shown something. Then things started to slip. I began forgetting things, small things, where I left my keys, what day it was, whether I had eaten that day. My appetite was gone, but I felt full, like the sandwich was still there, sitting in my gut, unchanged. Then the dreams got worse. One night I was back on the porch swing, but the world around me was off, the colors too dull, the sky too quiet. My dad stood over me, but he didn't speak. His eyes were vacant. His hands kept twitching. And when I looked down at my sandwich, it wasn't a Cuban anymore. It was raw, bleeding. I woke up gagging, my sheets soaked in sweat. My mouth still tasted like mustard, and something else, something metallic. That morning I stood in front of my bathroom mirror and stared at myself for 20 minutes. I didn't recognize my own face. My eyes looked sunken, greasy. My skin was pale. My lips were cracked like I hadn't had water in days. I weighed myself. I'd lost 6 pounds in 2 days. I should have gone to a hospital. I should have told someone. Instead, I went looking again. And that's when I found the thread. A late-night post buried on an old urban legend forum. The thread was titled, "The Grill That Feeds You What You Miss Most." The original poster talked about a black truck that showed up behind an abandoned bowling alley in St. Louis. Said that they ordered fries and got a basket that tasted exactly like the ones from their high school cafeteria, down to the grease stains and the plastic tray. They also said they didn't sleep for 5 days after. Another person chimed in with a story about getting a slice of birthday cake that tasted like the one their dead wife used to make. They woke up the next morning with a note under their pillow that read, "Hunger is memory." Every story was the same. The food wasn't just nostalgic. It was personal, tailored, and always, something changed afterward. The users either vanished from the forum entirely or came back weeks later talking nonsense, posting in broken sentences, rambling about smells, sounds, hunger. That's when I realized it wasn't just about the food. The truck feeds you, sure, but it's not just giving you comfort. It's feeding on something back, and maybe, just maybe, that bite I took, it cost me something I hadn't noticed yet. I stopped eating after that. Not out of fear, not at first. I just wasn't hungry. Nothing tasted right. I'd bite into a slice of pizza and spit it out. Burgers were too dry. Chips felt like sand in my mouth. Even water made me gag if I drank too much. But I wasn't starving. I didn't feel weak. I felt fed, but not full. More like sustained. Like something was keeping me going. Something that wasn't food. I kept dreaming about the truck. Every time it looked different. Once it was parked on the edge of a frozen lake, glowing like a flare in the snow. Another time it hovered. Yes, hovered above an empty cornfield at night, suspended on nothing. One dream placed it inside my childhood kitchen, with my mom's old flower curtains blowing in a wind that didn't exist. But it was always the same smell, the same flickering red neon sign, and that same phrase burned into the back of my mind like a brand. Only the hungry will find me. I started writing it in my notebooks, on scraps of paper, even on the foggy mirror after a shower. I didn't know why. It just felt necessary, compulsive. Then came the whispers. At first, I thought it was my upstairs neighbor, or the radio left on low. But they followed me into the shower while brushing my teeth, sometimes while just sitting on the edge of my bed at 3:33 a.m. They weren't words, not really, just a soft murmur, hungry, wet breath tickling the inside of my skull. Sometimes I swore I could make out phrases. Taste the memory. Give it back. Feed us. I was losing it. I knew that. So I went back to the alley. This time I brought a camera, full battery, wide lens. I even set up my phone on a nearby ledge, set to record a time lapse. I waited and waited. 2 a.m. Nothing. 2:30. My fingers were going numb. 2:45. I blinked, and the truck was just there. Same spot. Same impossible silence. It hadn't driven in. I didn't hear tires. It was like blinking summoned it. Like my desire called it from whatever place it hides. I stood, adrenaline surging. My hands shook as I lifted the camera. Through the lens, there was nothing. Empty alley. Just bricks and dumpsters. I lowered the camera. The truck was there. I looked through the lens again. Gone. I looked up. Back. Gone. Up. There. Down. Gone. Something about that. Something about the way it refused to be captured made my skin crawl. Then the window slid open. Same steam, same figure inside, still faceless behind the fog and flame. Another sandwich slid out. But this time, it wasn't a Cuban. It was something else. It looked like a Philly cheesesteak, mushrooms, peppers, the works. But I hadn't eaten one of those in years. Not since I was with Mara, my ex, the one who left last spring. She used to cook those for me after our late shifts, exactly like this one. Always with provolone, always overstuffed. This wasn't a coincidence. I didn't reach for it. I stood frozen, sweating, watching it sit there, steaming in the night air. I whispered, "What do you want?" Nothing. Just the soft hiss of the neon, the murmur of grease on the grill. My body wanted it. My mouth watered. But my soul, what was left of it, screamed, "No." Because I realized something then. This truck wasn't feeding me. It was replacing me. Piece by piece. Memory by memory. Every bite I'd taken, I hadn't just tasted food. I'd relived something. Something I hadn't thought about in years. But after the first sandwich, I couldn't remember my dad's voice anymore. I tried. I really tried. I could remember the porch, the mustard, the swing, but not the sound of his laugh, not the warmth in it. It was gone. And I think the sandwich took it. Or maybe the truck did. I didn't take the sandwich. Not that night. I left it there, steaming on the ledge of that cursed food truck's window. I backed away, slowly at first, then turned and ran, full sprint, out of the alley and into the open street, where the air didn't feel so thick. I didn't look back. Not once. The second I crossed into the glow of the nearest streetlight, the smell vanished, the warmth drained from my skin, and the silence behind me, it felt deeper, like I'd escaped something that didn't like to be denied. I got home, locked the door, and shoved a chair under the knob. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that sandwich, I saw Mara's face smiling behind it, blurred and flickering like old VHS footage. And worse, I saw other faces, faces I didn't recognize, dozens, hundreds, flashing like cards one after another, pale, empty, staring straight at me with that same hollow hunger I now felt burning behind my ribs. That's when I started hearing them. Not just whispers anymore. Knocking. It started the next night. 3 sharp taps at my door at 2:14 a.m. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Then again, knock, knock, knock. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing. But the scent was there again. Onions, charred meat, melted cheese. I turned off the lights and sat in the corner of my living room until morning. After that night, it escalated. Not just knocks. I'd see things. Shapes in my periphery. Blurred shadows in the mirror. A figure watching me from across the street, standing beneath a flickering lamppost. Never moving. Always waiting. Sometimes I'd blink, and it would be closer. Closer. Until I stopped blinking altogether. I called a therapist, scheduled an emergency session. When I tried to explain, she nodded like she'd heard worse. But when I mentioned the phrase, "Only the hungry will find me," she froze, dead still. Then she slowly reached into her desk drawer and pulled out a wrapped sandwich. Same foil, same weight. I stood up and left without another word. I checked her website the next day. She'd disappeared. No office listed, no license on record. I couldn't even find her Yelp page anymore. I started spiraling. That's when I found him, Felix Ortega, a username buried in an old conspiracy forum. He posted 8 years ago about the truck appearing in Detroit, claimed he followed it for weeks, said it fed on grief, that it knew what you missed most and weaponized it. Said the truck was part of a larger network, a chain maybe, moving between cities, appearing only when someone was vulnerable enough, starving enough. He ended his last post with something that shook me. The midnight grill doesn't cook for you, it harvests you, and once it has a taste, it doesn't let go. I tried messaging him. The account was inactive, but an hour later, I got an email. No subject, no body, just an image. A photo of a pale figure, gaunt and trembling, standing in front of the black truck. Their face was blurry, like it didn't belong to them anymore. But the shirt, the jeans, it was me. It was me, from behind, taken without my knowledge, at night, in that same alley. There was a timestamp. It was dated next week. I didn't leave my apartment for 6 days. I unplugged my microwave, taped shut my fridge, turned the stove into a storage shelf. I wasn't going to eat, not even a crumb. I figured if I starved the craving, maybe it would leave me alone. Maybe I could reclaim what little of myself was left. But that's the thing about hunger. It doesn't just disappear. It waits. It watches. It evolves. By day 3, my mouth was dry, my lips cracked, my tongue like sandpaper. But it wasn't water I wanted. Wasn't meat or carbs or sugar. It was memory. My head throbbed with flashes of my childhood. Mom dancing to old Haitian compa music while cooking rice and beans. My dad's voice calling out football scores from the living room. Mara's shampoo scent clinging to my pillow after she left for her shift. All of it came back, then started to fade. I tried to write them down. I did. But every time I put pen to paper, the ink bled or the words came out wrong. Nonsense. like the memories were rotting even as I tried to preserve them. By day 5, I didn't recognize the photos on my walls. By day 6, I didn't recognize myself in the mirror. And then, it came. Not the truck. Them. They arrived just past midnight. I didn't hear footsteps, only the soft hum of an engine outside my window. Low, growling, not mechanical, more organic. I peeked through the blinds. The truck was there, only it wasn't parked. It was hovering, 2 inches off the ground, pulsing faintly like a living heart. The neon letters bled red light across the building opposite mine. Steam hissed from its sides like breath, and the door to my apartment was unlocked, even though I hadn't touched it. I stood, heart pounding, bare feet sticking to the floor. I could feel the warmth bleeding in from under the door, smell the food, stronger now, sweeter. It smelled like my mother's kitchen, like Sunday, like comfort. But I knew better. I backed into the bathroom and locked myself inside. That's when the whispers returned. Only they weren't whispers anymore. They were voices, clear, surrounding me from every side, coming from the vents, the sink, the drain in the tub. You're hungry. We remember for you. Eat, and you can see them again. I covered my ears, screamed, slammed my head against the tile just to drown them out. Then came the knock, not at the front door, but the bathroom door. 3 soft raps. I froze. Then a voice, my dad's voice, called through the door. "Hey kiddo, I made your favorite. You gonna eat it while it's hot?" I sobbed because I knew it wasn't him. And still, I almost opened the door, but I didn't. I waited all night until the morning light bled through the blinds and the warmth was gone. When I finally stepped out, the truck was gone. So was the smell. So were the whispers. I thought maybe I'd won. Maybe starving it had worked. Until I checked my phone. A new photo had been added to my gallery. I didn't take it. It was me, standing inside the food truck, wearing the apron, my hands on the grill, blank eyes, a customer at the window, blurred, waiting, and the caption burned into the bottom. "Only the hungry will find me." That was 2 days ago. I don't remember making breakfast anymore. I don't remember my last name without checking my ID. Sometimes when I blink, I see steam. And last night, I woke up with grease under my nails. I don't think I'm starving anymore. I think I've become the hunger. So if you ever catch that scent, onions, meat, warm bread, don't follow it. Don't be curious. Because once you take that bite, once you let it in, you're not eating the food. It's eating you.